haven't done one of these in a month. Hey guys, welcome to the channel, All of the Movies. My name is Emily. I'm co-host here with Erinn, and today our full-length discussion is going to be on Shawshank Redemption. We're finally getting around to it. Just life happens. So we're finally here with Shawshank Redemption. It is a critically acclaimed movie all around, and people who haven't even seen it have at least heard its name in regard to how critically acclaimed and what a masterpiece it is. We both watched it for the first time, mind you, in our entire lives. So let's find out if we agree with the public on how big of a masterpiece this movie is. So now we're finally getting to Shawshank Redemption.
I know we've only been promising the 10 people that subscribe to this channel we were gonna
right. We're gonna get it. Okay. Shawshank Redemption. I didn't have to take notes on this one because all of the poignant things are still with me. Like it still has a lasting effect, I guess.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it did for me too. It was like it hung around for a couple days.
And both of us had never seen this movie before, and I didn't really know what it was about, except for like it was a prison movie. Also, for the longest time, I could not pronounce it.
For the longest time.
I keep wanting to say it in a
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. James Bond, Sean Connery.
Yes, Sean Connery.
Shawshank Redemption. That kind of sounded like Bane from Batman. That was not Sean Connery at all. I was born in the dark. Shawshank Redemption.
Andy, you know, he spent all that time in the darkness.
He did. Like when I watched it, I had seen pieces of it on TV, and I only recognized them once I was watching the movie. I was like, oh, I've seen this one scene, but I didn't ever remember seeing it until I was watching it all the way through. Like a movie Shawshank Redemption, I don't know, I just was not expecting this movie.
Yeah, no.
Based on the title alone.
Yeah, based on the title. And two,
Plus Stephen King.
Plus Stephen King. Okay, so Stephen King is like known for like horror and like really
sci-fi, trippy, yeah,
dark. You know, there's a lot of debate about whether he's like demonic and like, you know, all of that good stuff. A lot of his stories have supernatural.
That's the word I was looking for. Yeah.
To it.
Yeah.
So for this one, it had no supernatural at all. So Stephen King is a really good storyteller, no matter if it's like horrific or bloody or gory or just plain out creepy. He uses those to get like the emotion out, I guess, to make what he's trying to say like it's a hyperbole, I guess, like the whole thing.
Yeah, like, not a hyperbole. It's a I know what you're talking about. It's a allegory.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All of those things, like all of his stories have some sort of core meaning that's
bigger than what the story is about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that goes over a lot of people's heads because, you know, like Pet Sematary, you know, and all of his other really creepy things that he does. Like it's disturbing, but sometimes life can be disturbing. And in this movie particularly, even though he doesn't wrap it in the like horrific side and like supernatural, it's still horrific and creepy and awful.
Ain't you gonna scream?
Good luck.
Let's get this over with.
Yeah,
it's real way.
Yeah, it's gritty. It's got very real, kind of horrifying, like true life, what it's like.
Which is, in my opinion, more horrific. Because like supernatural stuff, okay, yeah, that's terrifying in the moment, but I don't believe in that stuff. So
Right. Yeah.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like real life horrors,
Yeah, like, do I think that there's ever going to be a clown living in a sewer system? No. There are
but
alligators down there for sure. No, I can't watch it. I read the book and it gave me nightmares, so I never saw. And that was one of the things when I was going into this movie. I knew that this one wasn't one of his normal like supernatural or like horror movies, just because I knew that the genre of the movie was not a horror, it was a drama.
right,
So
and it's Charisma's favorite movie, and Charisma
would never watch. No, Charisma. Oh man, what was the movie we watched? And she got so. Her and I went to see it in the movie theater. It was with your girl,
Jennifer
The Hunger
Lawrence.
Games, Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah,
J-Law.
J-Law. Yeah. I can't stand her. I think she's so overrated. That's
I
such
love
a
her
bad segue. But what was the name of
Ditto.
that movie? Red Sparrow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you liked it,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
Couldn't stand it. I could not stand that movie. Charisma, we're sitting there watching that movie and she was terrified the whole time. And that wasn't like a terrifying movie. It got gross at some parts, but it wasn't scary.
Yeah.
But she was terrified the whole time. And we were watching this other movie that was like a comedy and it was terrifying to her. So I knew going in that like this was safe. But yeah, so that's, I mean, going into it, I was thinking it's gotta be like I was just waiting for the shoe to drop and waiting for that like weird or horrifying, like truly grotesque thing to happen.
Mhm.
And while the grotesque never did happen, it was kind of horrifying when you think about, that is probably what it's like to be someone who's imprisoned for, a life sentence or whatever, especially with the one guy. Yeah, two. He had two, but the one guy who was released and then he, was working in the grocery store and doing all of
Brooks.
these things. Yeah, and that was, to me, that was the horrifying thing.
Dear fellas, I can't believe how fast things move on the outside. I saw an automobile once when I was a kid, but now they're everywhere.
And then the whole idea of being falsely accused and imprisoned for, however many years he ended up actually being there before he broke out.
I think it was 12 or 15.
It was something. Yeah, it was something ridiculous. But
Yeah.
how often does that really happen? Like that's terrifying.
Right. Well, I mean, okay, so I had been wanting to watch the Ted Bundy tapes.
I mean, I'm not an animal and I'm not crazy. I'm on a split personality. I mean, I'm just a normal individual.
On Netflix?
On Netflix. I just got done with it. But I had been wanting to watch that. But Anthony, like, it's our thing that we watch we watch stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
And so we didn't have time to watch together. So I was filling that with other true crime documentaries.
Mm-hmm.
So I got onto this huge kick, and one of them was it's on Netflix right now, and it's about these two guys who went to prison, and it was like a week before his execution that it got stayed because DNA evidence finally came out and made an appearance in the 90s, and the DNA evidence showed that he didn't do it. Like he was about to get executed for it.
That's terrifying.
That's terrifying.
I think he'll ever get out of here. Me?
Yeah. One day, when I got a long white beard and 2 or 3 marbles rolling around upstairs, they let me out.
I guess the elephant in the room is that this movie, everyone loves.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the #1 movie ever of all time to like tons of people.
You mentioned Shawshank and everyone's like, oh, Shawshank. It's
so good.
So good.
It's a classic.
Yeah.
Unpopular opinion maybe right now. I think it's a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, it's not that good. Like, it's a
It's
good
it is
movie.
about time that we got a movie that you don't love.
Yeah. Well, okay, so there are certain elements of it that I do love. So because and I think we've touched on this. I like with The Perfect Getaway. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's not the best of movies, but what it's trying to say is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
This movie does the same thing. It has like that hope and trying to depict and they even directly talk about um being in prison and then being released and being rehabilitated. Morgan Freeman's character Red goes into like, what is that? I don't even
Yeah.
know what that is. But
Yeah.
just give you guys a job to tell me that
Rehabilitated, yeah.
and so I really liked that because institutionalized, that's what it is.
Institutionalized, yeah.
And you mentioned Brooks. That
Mm-hmm.
character has just is kind of linear throughout until he gets released. Or actually right before he gets released, when he has about
Yeah, when he was so terrified of leaving.
didn't want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Look at his neck, for God's sake. Brooks, look at his neck. He's bleeding.
It's the only way they let me stay.
That's scary. He was in there for how many years? He doesn't know how to function in society. And then when Red finally gets released, he keeps asking, can I go to the bathroom? I'm gonna, and he's like, you don't have to. I thought that was really done, like really well done to show that in a very real way.
Mm-hmm.
Won't you knock it off? Brooks ain't no bug. It's just institutionalized.
Institutionalized my ass.
So I really liked that. I really liked actually probably my favorite part of this movie was Jake. Jake was awesome. The little bird, and then you see him grow, and then he gets released. Like, no, but okay, so it's my favorite part because it's kind of like even the bird was like,
Institutionalized.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like how
Yeah.
I really liked that.
Sometimes after work, I go to the park and feed the birds. I keep thinking Jake might just show up and say hello, but he never does. I hope wherever he is, he's doing okay and making new friends.
I really liked the story. It was a very drawn out story. There were so many different storylines in it.
I think it played more like an epic than anything else. Kind of very Greek.
A lot of people say that it's like a cinematic masterpiece. I wouldn't agree with that.
Say what?
Just because I've seen better ones, but maybe for the time it was.
I mean, this movie cinematically, like technically.
This moment will be the moment of something real.
It's like way up there.
Who's coming with me?
I don't know. Yeah, it was filmed well. It was done really well.
Mm-hmm.
Like a cinematic masterpiece.
This is embarrassing.
Well, I mean, now you know how I feel about, Lebowski. Technically, it was like really, really well done.
Well,
but
see, I want it
on a storyline,
a cinematic masterpiece.
Well, and again, The Big Lebowski is one of those movies where people call it a cinematic masterpiece because it checks off like those big direction, screenwriting, all of those. I mean, technically superb. And this one does the same thing. But this one is more, it's an Oscar movie.
Yeah.
It's not
Which
a
it didn't win. Lost to Forrest Gump.
yeah. Well, Forrest Gump. You're shit. It's Forrest Gump.
Well,
Forrest Gump is like the best movie ever made. That's Tom Hanks. It's like Forrest Gump is one of the top 10 movies of all time on most people in the world's list. Like it just box office, like everything. It was incredible. But this movie is one of those movies, and when I say it's an Oscar movie, is because it's one of those movies where even if it didn't do well in the box office, it still is going to be one of those like accolades or one of those movies that wins accolades or gets nominated for a ton of stuff because it's just that kind of movie where like when do you ever a lot of people don't watch the Oscars because popular movies aren't in them, like they're not nominated for anything. Nobody knew what Roma was like by the time the Oscars rolled around this year. So when I say it's an Oscar movie, I think that's the reason where it's held to that high standard cinematically. I thought it was a fantastic movie. But again, I was looking at it, I see the technical first.
Right.
Only when I'm reviewing them. I feel like I need to not do that because when I'm like, I'm trying to think like Under the Tuscan Sun, when I'd watched that movie before, I was like, oh, it's a cute story, whatever. But then when I watch it cinematic, like for the for this channel's purposes and to review it, I was looking at it under a different lens, and it made me see things first that I wouldn't have seen. I looked at the cinematic, technical things first before the storyline. I also really enjoyed the story though, so I don't know. This movie was I don't feel like this one was I don't think it's overrated.
Right. Okay. So I don't think it's as great as everyone thinks it might be, at least in my opinion, but I definitely don't think it's overrated.
Yeah.
Like it's good. It's a really, really good movie on so many different levels. The acting, the story, the way it was shot really well.
Mm-hmm.
The music in it, the film locations, like it was good.
If I didn't care, would I...
Mr. Dufresne, describe the confrontation you had with your wife the night that she was murdered.
It's not my favorite movie.
Yeah, I mean it's not cracking my list. Sorry, Charisma.
Like
but
if I ever see it again, I'll be fine. Like if I don't ever see it again, I'll be fine.
Yeah, I feel like, man, like you literally go back and watch the Big Lebowski review. All the things you're saying about this movie are the things that I said about that one. But I do agree with that. If I never saw this movie again, whatever.
It was good.
It was a great movie. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it thoroughly. But I know because it's been 3 weeks since either of us have seen this movie, and we both said we were going to watch it yesterday, and neither one of us did. So that has to go and show you that it's not, rewatch worthy. Those to me are always going to be better movies than Oscar winners or the greatest movies of all time, because like, fine, it might be some epic journey, but if you see it once and then you're like, okay, been there, done that, and I don't ever need to see it again, then it doesn't.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
But when because I wanted to see how other people reviewed this movie and also the comments on those videos.
Mm-hmm.
So all the comments on like reviews, they're like, this movie is the greatest movie ever. I rewatch it all the time. Like, and I was like, I don't get that. It's a good movie. It's really, really good.
It's a good movie. And I probably, I can't say that I would like never watch it again. Like The Big Lebowski, I'm never going to like offer myself to watch that movie again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm never going to be like, oh, it's Saturday night. You got to have something to watch. Let's watch The Big Lebowski. This movie, probably not going to do that again, but I also wouldn't say no if someone else wanted to watch it, where I probably would if like someone said, let's watch The Big Lebowski, I'd be like, nah, I'm good. That's okay.
I feel that with this one.
Yeah.
So, like The Big Lebowski, if somebody was like, let's watch it, I was like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
This one, I would be like, is there an alternative?
Yeah. What about The Big Lebowski?
Exactly. What about that?
Yeah.
I guess it comes down to a simple choice, really. Get busy living, or get busy dying.
The other.
Plus, I don't think this one's too heavy. I don't think I could watch this one
and it's really
over and over again. Yeah, it's a long movie. Long movie.
Quite an investment.
That's why I said it's very Greek. It's like an epic. It's very it's intense.
Yeah, no, I
it's an investment.
It is
like a 401k. This movie.
He had all the proper ID, driver's license, birth certificate, social security card, and the signature was a spot-on match.
The other issue I had with this movie was the ending.
Okay.
Which is a shocker for me because I like happy endings.
You
I
do.
like when everything is tied up
in a bow. Yeah.
I don't know why, but I didn't quite like it in this one. Like, for me, I think the movie should have ended when Red finds the letter and reads it. And then cut.
Remember, Red, hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. I will be hoping that this letter finds you, and finds you well. Your friend, Andy.
That whole scene of him on the beach and like that quick reconnection, I felt like it didn't like match. Like it didn't, like the height of the story of the redemption was when he crawls out of the sewer covered in crap and like does the famous, in the rain scene. That was the hope. That was the redeeming, and then Red already got redeemed through his character arc.
His rehabilitation, yeah.
Yeah, like all of that already happened. So I thought it was very gratuitous of them to, it was so disconnected.
I couldn't agree more. I am normally not a person who prefers endings where things are tied up in a bow, because I want to be able to imagine the characters. Like if a movie is successful, to me, in my eyes, a movie is successful if at the end of the movie the characters still have a life that they're living beyond the scope of the 2 hours or whatever that were shown on screen. So yeah, you can sometimes tie that up in a bow and, give your happily ever after, your happy ending, whatever. But I still need some movement beyond that. And I completely agree that with that scene after he, it should have ended when he read the letter.
Yeah.
Because that's like,
does he go? Does he make it? Do they find each other?
But even without those questions, that's the perfect ending.
Yeah.
Like that was such a missed opportunity for me, because as an audience member, you're thinking, oh, why would they end it there? And that's what you want as a movie maker. You want somebody to go leaving the theater going, are they going to make a sequel? There's definitely going to be one after this, right? Like you're happy with the ending.
You're able to create the sequel.
Or you can create it yourself, right? Yeah. Or you can create it yourself, because there are so many times when I leave the theater where I'm like, what? That's it? But then I'm always thankful for that, because exactly, I always want more. So if in the case where they are making sequels, I'm always really excited to see the next piece of the story, or I want to watch it again immediately to find out, you know what I mean? Like, that's how I get to that place where I want to watch it again, because I want to experience it again, to get to that point where I'm able to, you know, give the characters my own whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
that's part of the joy of movies to me, is that it's not just, as a movie creator, you're creating this whole life and this whole world through your eyes, only to have it be viewed by someone else through theirs and their perspective and where they are in their life. And if me as a movie goer and a movie watcher doesn't experience something and can't take your story and move on with it in my own way, then I don't think it hits the mark. And this movie in particular missed a huge opportunity there, where it was like the perfect little ... Like,
Yep.
I don't necessarily want a movie that ends in a period. I would much rather it end in an ellipsis. Yeah, I would much rather. And I think for an author, Stephen King should, like, I mean, come on, man.
Because all of his, and I don't want to say all of them, but all of the ones that I've seen end like that.
Yeah. So
Like,
I don't know, that one I feel like
this one was like, book is closed on the shelf.
Now, granted, I've not read the book, so I never read Shawshank.
Right.
So I don't know if maybe he did write it that way and they just, you know, took creative license with it in the movie, because that happens a lot.
The perfect ending, I totally agree with you, is that when he read the book.
Yeah. I honestly was expecting that to be the ending, and when it didn't end, I was like, really? There's more? Like, that was my exact feeling.
Which is what you were saying. It's the opposite effect. Like, there's more.
Yeah. No. Open the letter, start reading it, fade to black.
More.
Like, boom, fade to black, roll the credits. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
I don't need anything more than that. Anything more than that is completely gratuitous. Like, I 1000% agree.
It was a nice story ride. I liked it. Like, I didn't feel bored. It was slow, but I didn't feel bored. They had, you know, different characters.
It was deliberate. It was deliberate. I don't slow, but it's not slow like Perfect Getaway. Perfect Getaway, that first 30 minutes was like, come on. This was deliberately slow. It was like,
it's like a nice,
it was prison, which I thought was awesome, the way that they did that, because if you're stuck in prison, especially falsely accused, falsely imprisoned, and you're stuck there, time is going to move really slow.
They send you here for life. That's exactly what they take.
Yeah, no, and like the different, you know, like, he became the tax person or whatever. And
I thought that was fantastic. I love that.
When they were on top of the roof and he like walks over to the person and they're like, you're gonna die, don't do it. You know, what is he doing? And he's like, I can help you with this. Just, you know, we need
hey man, you gotta learn to play the system.
Right.
You gotta game the system that gamed you, because he got screwed, you know, so he's gotta figure out a way to make the most of it. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. And he wasn't afraid to, you know, do that. And the character, I want to talk about him, because Andy, you don't really know Andy.
Well, he even mentions something to that effect in the movie. The reason that his wife left him is because he couldn't express any kind of emotion or anything. But yeah, you do kind of feel like this guy's kind of like a stick in the mud at the beginning.
Stick in the mud, or just very reserved. And
he's a tax guy. I mean, what do you...
But
tax accountant.
For a reserved person, and probably an introvert.
Oh, yeah.
Ballsy.
Yeah.
Like, playing that opera music and just... like...
For sure, yeah.
Oh, you know, and then walking up to the guy and getting dangled off the roof almost, and you know, and it just attributes.
Well, to even attempt an escape from prison, I mean,
right, but balls. It just attributes to that all the way through. Like, you get these little glimpses of that he's ballsy, but he's like this reserved person,
he's
and
methodical.
That's why he gets away with it.
Yep. Because no one's expecting it.
I did really, really love that of like he's been etching away and digging that hole all the time, and the movie does not focus on that.
I didn't shoot my wife, and I didn't shoot her lover. Whatever mistakes I made, I paid for them and then some. That hotel, that boat, I don't think that's too much to ask.
No.
I liked that.
Yeah, and I think that if it had,
it wouldn't have
the escape would not have been as powerful as it was, or as poignant or climactic of a moment as it was. Because when the warden walks down and and they see the breeze behind the poster, and they pull the poster down, and then there's just this tunnel.
That shot.
Yeah,
that shot.
I do too. Those are the best shots. Those are the best shots to film ever. I love them. And but yeah, that scene was like, had they hinted more at the fact that he was as methodical and planning and kind of cunning as he was, then I don't think that moment hits as hard. I don't think that moment succeeds as much as it does, because they didn't dwell on his character. It was kind of this more general, until it needed to dwell on his character, and then it was like, oh, by the way, pay attention to that.
Yeah, no, that is one thing that I can see why people are like, I love this movie.
And that's what I mean. Like those things don't just happen in normal movies. Like those moments, those ideas, those whatever, they don't happen in normal movies. You're not going to see that in the Avengers movies. You're going to be entertained, and you'll probably want to watch those more often than you will Shawshank. But that's why I think that this one, I agree that it is a cinematic masterpiece. I'm with it on that one. I really, really do believe that it is that good. Is it a favorite of mine? No. Is it a movie that I enjoyed watching? Yeah. But if I never see it again, then that's not, it's not a hardship for me at all.
This movie almost had me tearing.
Yeah, it was
when Brooks.
Yeah, Brooks was here. Yeah,
that got me.
Yeah.
Nothing else in the movie. Yeah, like it sucks, and I can have some empathy and whatnot. But what got me was Brooks.
Yeah.
I wake up scared. Sometimes it takes me a while to remember where I am. Maybe I should get me a gun and rob the foodway so they'd send me home. I could shoot the manager while I was at it, sort of like a bonus.
Like his character, and then him like freaking out and almost killing somebody just to stay in prison, and then like him going through, I was just like, I'm so sad.
Yeah.
And then him waiting around for Jake, and like it just, and then finally,
when he hangs himself. Yeah.
His character, and he puts, Brooks was here. And when I saw that, I was
you got to leave your mark.
Yeah.
Just the fact that you, even as a convict and as someone who was eventually released from prison, all this guy wanted to do was just, have somebody remember that he was there. And then Red gets the same room and sees his name up on the banister.
Get busy living or get busy dying. That's goddamn right.
And yeah, that was truly heartfelt and very, very emotional. And I agree, probably the most emotional scene in the movie, as far as like a kind of tear-jerking moment. Because the rest of it was not. You're not going to get me to cry in a movie for like happy tears that normally doesn't happen. I'm gonna cry if other people are crying in a movie or if it's really, really sad.
Yeah.
Like it's gotta be like mourning tears, you know what I mean? Like, and then you've got the whole rest of this movie is just, well, and even the whole movie in general is just this hope, this greater purpose, which is why I think that part was so sad, because Brooks couldn't see it. All he could see was his circumstance.
Yeah.
So that made it sadder to me, or all the more sad.
Like I watched it 3 weeks ago, but that still like gets, you know.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, no, that one was a very real moment in the movie. I mean, the movie was full of those kinds of authentic moments, but that one for sure was probably the most gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
Just because I was just so sad. He's this old guy and he's, dressed up in his suit, and it's just, it's sad.
Yeah, it's just sad. But the movie goes through a lot of those emotions of like sad, and
it definitely runs the gamut of what a human being can handle and is capable of, and all of those things. Yeah.
And two, a lot of them, like the prison guard, he's a hateable character, but he does have one redeemable thing, and maybe I don't know why he does it. Maybe the book goes into it more. When the sisters finally, beat up Andy and all of that sad stuff.
That was terrifying stuff. Like that was gruesome.
Those interactions between Andy and the sisters were so off-putting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so bad. But the prison guard, the main one, after that final
other movies
horrific, beating of Andy, what do? They go in there and they beat him an inch of his life and send him out with like, no teeth or whatever. So
well, I thought he ended up in a coma, or he did end up dying. He would never walk again. There was something they said.
Yeah, he would never walk again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was wheeled out and he had like bandages and kind of like, so that was redeeming, he kind of.
Well, that right there, redemption, right? It's the name of the movie, but it truly is the theme of the movie. He
wasn't completely redeemed because he was still a scumbag.
Yeah, but he had, his redeeming factor or qualities or whatever. I think the only guy who didn't was the warden, who was just utter scum. But the movie is full of redemption.
Yeah.
Redemption from the institution, redemption from, the falsehood, whatever, redemption from being a lying scumbag, and then you have to be sent to jail because that's your penance for, being such a jerk off.
Yeah. I find it so ironic that the only person that really isn't redeemable in the entire thing is the warden. And the reason why that's ironic to me is he's the religious guy.
I know. Yeah.
He's so religious, but he's such a dirtbag.
Yeah, but I think that probably plays into it, because it kind of goes into, was he really religious to begin with, or was he just a hypocrite? You know what I mean? Like, that's that whole playing church thing. The guy was a scumbag. Yeah. So he had his Bible, but he
could quote it, but
yeah.
But it was his weakness that Andy found out and was like, I'll get on his good side and quote back to him.
Yep.
So
yep.
Yeah, there's so many good moments in this movie, and the story is just so good. The ending did not redeem the movie.
Oh, very clever. So clever. There was no redemption of Shawshank. No.
But I mean, it's a good movie.
I think we're probably very much on the same page with this movie, just because, like, cinematically really good, technically superb, but still at the end of the day, I'm feeling kind of ambivalent towards it. Not ambivalent, but I feel like that lessens how good this movie was, because it really was that good. Like, it is a great movie.
Yeah.
But I still just, like, I can't bring myself to love this movie.
Yeah, no.
I like it. I liked it fine, but I can't bring myself to love it.
Right, because there's other movies like, and I guess that's why Forrest Gump won, you know,
Yeah.
where it's,
You put this up against those kinds of movies, Forrest Gump, Steel Magnolias, those other epic journey movies, and, like,
I've
this thing
never
blown out of the water.
Steel Magnolias. I've never seen it.
That we're gonna put that on the list. Steel Magnolias is a treasure.
So I think we're pretty much done with this one. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
there's not really anything else to say. I think it's a refillable medium.
Really, that bad?
A B+. I mean,
Wow.
And maybe an A-, like a B+, A-, somewhere in there. But what makes it that for me is the ending.
Mm-hmm.
That ending just, I did not like it.
Yeah.
Did not like it.
Especially when that's the thing that you're left with.
Yeah.
If it's something that you so truly dislike, that's all the movie leaves you with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if an ending is done really well, then it makes the movie better. If an ending is done okay, then the movie can stand on its own, but you're always kind of left with this, like, kind of empty feeling. But if an ending is done poorly, it will ruin a movie for you. Yeah. Like, I'm the same way. It can. The end of it, the last 10 minutes of a movie can ruin it, makes or breaks it. And truly, I'm talking, like, after the climax into the end of where everything's being wrapped up, that's the make or break to me. Right. And if a movie is ended poorly like this one was, then yeah, I agree. It leaves you with a sour taste.
It just, like, this movie would have been a solid A if not for that ending, because I just think the ending was already happy and hopeful.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just was like, glitter.
It was extra.
When the movie didn't need that. Like,
yeah. Yeah, it was, yeah, I agree.
I didn't like it. So
yeah, I agree.
That brings down my bag.
I can see that. I still have to give this an A rate. Like, I gave it a large bag of popcorn. But that's just thanks to the technically superb aspects of it, and the storyline, and, like, the acting was phenomenal, which we didn't really talk a whole lot about. You know,
because I think it's just given. You know,
I know it's Morgan Freeman. Like, you're not really how are you gonna screw that one up? But yeah, it just, I could never give this one a collector's edition. Like, I could never, you know, I'm not taking home that plastic tub of popcorn on this one. But yeah, I think it definitely deserves a large bag of popcorn. That's that.
That's that. All right, so next week, what movie are we discussing?
The Fifth Element. Which you're very excited for.
Yeah, no, I'm...
Because I've never seen this movie.
You've never seen it. It is, one of my favorites.
So.
Yeah. For so many different reasons.
Let's go, Bruce.
Good.
Bring it on.
Bruce.
Was this at the time when was he married to Demi Moore when he made this movie?
No idea. Might have to look that up.
Yeah.
I have no idea, but.
So that's next week.
All right. So. Cue the outro.
Hey guys, it's Erinn. Thanks again for watching another one of our reviews. You can also join the conversation with us on Instagram and Twitter. So definitely make sure to follow us there. We're definitely looking to continuing this journey with you guys, and we will see you next week. Bye.
All right, so next week What are we?
Oh wait, hold on. Continuity.
Right.
All right, now go ahead.